What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Nathan Scott, and in today's video I want to talk to you about how to start investing in the stock market. This is for people that are completely brand new. I want to confront the fact that a lot of people kind of think that the stock market is like gambling, but I want to give you some pointers on what I've learned over the last 2 to 3 years, some things that I wish I would have known when I first started out, and hopefully I can help you avoid those mistakes that I made. As always, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button. I appreciate it. And without further ado, let's get into today's video. So since you're here, you're probably kind of getting the ball rolling on starting investing. Probably pretty excited. There's a lot of hype into it. At least there was for me. I was very excited to get started and something I just wanted to jump right into. But something that I wish I would have known a little bit beforehand is know what your risk tolerance is. And it's very important because everybody can survive the green days. Everybody loves these, right? But it's the red days when the market's not doing so hot. And this can last for days, weeks. It's even lasted as far as months in previous years, such as 2008. I actually looked at it the other day. It was a constant bear market for almost 2 years. But when things happen like that, a lot of people come out on the other side by just holding on and keep buying as it's going down. But the stock market has proved time and time again that it's always recovered. And a lot of people came out on the other side of that bear market as multimillionaires or just a lot wealthier in the end. So I highly advise that you kind of figure out what your risk tolerance is. If you're kind of into growth stocks or dividend paying stocks, if you have a high risk tolerance, then by all means go for the riskier stocks. If not, these are companies, the companies you're going to look for are the ones that are well known by everybody. That's something that you could easily mention and somebody knows exactly who you're talking about. So some examples of these would be like Lowe's, Home Depot, McDonald's, and things, kind of companies like that. If you are into riskier stocks, you have a higher tolerance. Some of the long-term holds that I'm currently buying that I think will be tremendous payoffs, maybe 5-10 years from now, are NIO, Tesla, and Coinbase. And NIO is just the Chinese version of Tesla, pretty much. It's an electric vehicle maker in their country, and it boomed last year, and it's probably going to do a lot more this year and upcoming year. Now let me tell you why risk tolerance is so important based off an experience that I had. So I first started investing at the beginning or the end of 2018, beginning of 2019, but I wasn't using Robinhood or any app like that. So one of my buddies that I was stationed with in Mississippi came to me. He said something about an app called Acorns. I had no idea what this was, but basically, you know how you get change back from like Walmart or somewhere when you use cash? It's the same concept, except every time you swipe your credit or your debit card, it links to your bank account, and anything that's left over, it will transfer to the app and invest it for you. And you can pick the different funds in there, and you can decide how aggressive you want to be. But say you pay $5.50 for a coffee, that extra 50 cents is going to round up and take that out of your account and put it into the app and invest it for you long term, or however long you choose to do so. So I downloaded this app because my buddy was telling me about it, and I was like, that sounds cool. And he was telling me how much money he made. And at that point, he had made $30 to $40, I believe. And what blew my mind was the fact that he didn't have to work for this money. And that was when kind of the start of all this transpired. So I downloaded the app, I got started, I connected my bank account, and in a matter of a few months, I ended up with about $550 in my account. And I was up 20, 30 bucks. And then there was kind of a market crash a little bit at the beginning of 2019 that caused me to completely sell all my stocks. I ended up losing like 40 bucks at that time. And I was done. I was like, okay, stock market's not for me. I just lost money. I don't want to lose money. I'm out. So that was where I realize now I didn't know my risk tolerance. So when you're first starting out, that's 100%, you need to do this, because if you're not ready for the days that are going to be red, you're not going to do very well. So with that being said, hindsight is always 20/20. I just wish that I would have done more research on my own prior to investing in Acorns, kind of just to know what to expect from the stock market, because I had no idea. I thought it was something that I just put my money in and it constantly went up. And I know a lot of people feel like the stock market is gambling. However, it's not. There's risk with everything that you do as far as investing, but as long as you do the research on what companies you're buying, then you're fine. So now the next thing you want to figure out is whether you're more into growth stocks or into dividend stocks. And the difference is a growth stock is a company that just doesn't pay dividends. Most of the time, these are companies that are very volatile. So if you have a higher risk tolerance, this might be something that you pursue. If not, then it's going to be dividend companies or dividend stocks is what you'll probably pursue if you have a lower risk tolerance. Dividends are basically companies pay a portion of their profits back to shareholders. And I always like to say it's basically the company saying thank you. It's one of the easiest ways to make passive income. However, it does take a little bit of money to get started and to actually get a substantial amount of dividends coming in. Off my current portfolio, I collect $478.21 per year off of dividends. And this leads me to my next point of having a very diversified portfolio. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, because if one stock starts going down, then that might ruin you forever, because all your money is going to be pretty much gone. It won't hit zero, but your money's going to be on a decline. You're going to panic, and that's what happened when COVID hit. When everybody got nervous about the virus and whatnot, the market had a huge sell-off, and when that happened, a lot of people sold, including a lot of 401ks and retirement savings were sold, because people were afraid of what it was going to do to the stock market. Now, it did decline, and at one point in time, I was actually down over $1,100. But once again, you know that the stock market's going to come back up. So as I was constantly losing money, I was still buying in, just at lower prices for every share that I was buying. And at the end, it actually paid off, because over the next year, I went up over 20%. Another thing to understand too, when you first start investing, your losses and gains might be pretty minimal, and it's not going to affect you too much. However, the more money that you add into your account over time, know that your losses are going to get bigger. If you have a bad day where when you first start out, that might be losing $10 to $15 that day, the larger your portfolio is, the larger the loss is going to be, because you have more shares, you have more money invested. So for me, when I first started out, my bad day was $10 to $25, and now a bad day for me is somewhere between $400 and $700. A good day being also up when I first started, probably $20 to $30, and now a good day for me somewhere between $500 and $800. So let's recap. Number one, know your risk tolerance. Number two, decide on whether or not you prefer growth stocks, dividend stocks, or maybe even a little bit of both. Growth stocks are just stocks that don't pay you dividends monthly, quarterly, or annually. And examples of these are going to be Tesla, NIO, and Coinbase. And dividend paying stocks are, you can find plenty of these, but these typically don't see supercharged explosions as far as share price. Growth stocks, like I said earlier, are more volatile. You're more likely to experience high ups and high downs. It kind of depends on what the company's doing, what news is coming out about them, but they're not bad stocks to invest in. I do invest in growth stocks. However, I'm more dividend driven personally, because I like getting paid every single month. And number three, diversify, diversify, diversify. I cannot stress this enough, because it will help you out tremendously. Just because if one stock is controlling over half your portfolio, or even a quarter of it, it'll have negative effects on you potentially. Assuming that stock goes down, you might be a little bit more edgy as far as not wanting to invest anymore. So help yourself out. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. For example, with me, I just announced that in the last video that I'm currently restructuring my portfolio due to Tesla being roughly 20 to 22% of my entire portfolio. So when Tesla has a really good day, my portfolio has a really good day. But when it has a really bad day, my portfolio also has a really bad day. And most of the time, the stocks that I invest in aren't necessarily high growth stocks, because I prefer dividends and just steady, pretty much a steady trim or a trend up. So if you don't like buying individual shares of companies, something else you can do is buy into an index fund. And basically it's a pool of companies, and it's under one share. So under this one share, you have maybe 100 to 500 companies, and it'd be like Coca-Cola, Walmart, Home Depot, Lowe's, so on and so forth. And when you buy one share, you buy a portion of each one of those companies. So if one of those is having a really good day, then your share is going to go up. And usually most of the time with companies like that, they pretty much, for the most part, are on an uptrend. So if you buy into an index fund, you buy a little bit of multiple companies, and all of your eggs won't be in one basket with one share. If that's something you're more comfortable with, definitely check that out. And I highly urge you guys, take control of your life today and start investing. And the older you or future you will definitely thank you. All right, guys, that concludes today's video. Thank you for watching. I hope that you found these 3 points very valuable. These are things that if I had known when I first started investing back in 2019, that I definitely would have kept my Acorns account open. I would have kept investing. I would have kept maybe just swiping my card to put more money in there. But it would have been a lot different. And I actually did recently re-download the app, probably around 2 to 3 months ago. I was talking to a friend of mine who said that he had like $20,000 in Acorns just off of spare change. So that kind of like blew me away and made me realize, like, I could be not necessarily that high up there, but I could probably have a couple grand in there at this time if I would have kept it. But I'm gonna leave a link in the description below for Acorns and for Robinhood. And if you invest in Robinhood today, we could both potentially get a free stock valued up to $500. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. I will see you next time. Be sure to like and subscribe.